I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not concerned. I said, I'm worried because we're giving some points away and we're not playing well. And so I keep thinking of that each time I read, oh, here goes another guy for what's Kulikov, 5 months or something or other. Right? And you're like, but they're kind of like, the old tortoise and the hare. And teams are going to race out and get into a lead and they're just going to plug along and just, eat up points and get enough points and get to 96 points and make the playoffs, and then everybody's got a problem again.
Ray, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the talk of the National Hockey League is Easton Cowan and the Toronto Maple Leafs in his position.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. It's accurate.
Everyone is buzzing about it. Like, what do you think needs to happen? We were talking about it earlier in the show, about him staying on a line with Austin Matthews. Is it like, does Matthews have to continue to produce? Does Cowan have to continue to look comfortable? Like, what do you think the odds are that he could stick on that top line with 34?
Well, two things. One, I think, is going to depend on, at what level of consistency can he play? Like, can he? Because when you're playing with those guys, right, you see the other team's big boys all the time. You get the other team's
and
best defense
pairings.
pair all the time. And you're like, it's hard. And what if he goes 14 games with 2 points? Like, you can't keep him there. It's no good for him. The other part is, if it's not him, who's it going to be? Right. And so that's really the trouble that you get into building a lineup is, okay, so it looked good for one game. And so, of course, you go back in another game. But what if in 2 weeks it doesn't quite look so good? Who are you going to put there and feel confident that that's the right guy?
A heater road trip with matchups and really good teams would be fascinating to watch relatively soon, because then you're going to see what you're in for on the road.
Well, just think of what Edmonton had to do last night. Same sort of thing. Like, it's easy to play McDavid and Draisaitl at home together. But when you get on the road, you get the other team's best D, you get their best matchup line, and they broke them apart. First game really on the road that they were in a little bit of a blender a bit, and they split them apart. Because it's hard to play on the road. And I loved being like a number 2 center, because the other guy had to play against the other team's best guys. That was perfect for me. That was the place I belonged. He's so young. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Can he maintain a pace that would say, yeah, this is a first line winger? I think it would be really hard, and expecting a lot from a kid just getting his feet wet.
Well, he's looked good the first 2 games, but to your point, they're both home games, and they're not against the greatest teams in the world, Detroit and Nashville. And he's not the biggest guy in the world either. And, one of the kind of sub-stories about the last couple of games have been he's taken a couple of hits, and there's been some scrums that have kind of surrounded him, and the role of Austin Matthews in that as the leader, the captain, he hasn't been exactly flying into the scrum to kind of protect them or to be a part of it. My theory is I'm curious if Matthews is still thinking about the injuries he suffered last year, and does he want to put himself in any position where he might, trigger that again? I hope that's not his mentality, but I'm curious if you think it could be to an extent. If you ever came back from injuries and you're just weary of that, but also just, the role of Matthews in making sure Cowan is comfortable, but also feeling somewhat protected. Meanwhile, he's Austin Matthews, and he's the marquee guy.
I think if you're expecting Austin to do that, you should find somebody else on the ice to do that. You got a couple of knuckle draggers on the blue line, like, jump in there. Like, what that would be like, Yari Curry got slashed and Gretsch should jump in there, and like, I know it's a different time, they stuck Dave Semenko there. And so if you're looking for Matthews to protect him, like, how's that going to happen? Like, that, he doesn't, I'll say this is kind of weird. He doesn't protect himself. Like, when there's a scrum, he just kind of skates away from it. It's not like he's going to dig in and, and get into a scrum. It's just not his way. And so I don't know, I think that's a crazy expectation to think that he's going to jump in the middle of the scrum. And what if he does and somebody grabs him and feeds him one? Then that's now you got another problem.
Yeah. Right, and then that probably ends any idea of him doing it, again in the future, if that ends up happening. But
from memory, getting punched in the face is not that much fun. It's
not
really
generally.
No, it's just and trust me, when I fought 12 or whatever times, there was a little bit of that going on, and it wasn't me punching anybody. That's for sure.
So Ray, as it pertains to, we've been talking about, the first just over the week of NHL hockey. I mean, has it been? I think the games have been incredibly sloppy. Is this different than other years, or is this just maybe more focus on it? But I feel like the games have been different this year as compared to other years in that first week and a half, 2 weeks, because every game I've watched has been really sloppy.
The game I did last night was Tampa and Washington, and we walked away and went, wow, that was a surprise. Like, it was really good. It was physical. It was it was intense, and we're like, where did that come from? Because I'm with you. Like, it's been a turnover fest in each game that I've done and watched, and some of it, I guess, is early on. I got to thinking though, John Cooper told us, Vasilevsky and Kucherov and Point, they only played like a game and a half of preseason. And I'm like, yeah, what's going to happen next year when there's no exhibition?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that first 3 weeks of the season is going to be like this. And I mean, early hockey is so different than even a month from now. It just doesn't look the same. It is messy right now for sure.
Yeah, and I can't imagine coaches are overly happy with the idea that every other coach is going through the same thing. But you're right. I mean, like we said off the top, like there's some teams that are skating through it. I think Carolina won again last night. They're on the West Coast, I believe. And, what can happen here is a team that is dialed in, like you can start your year 8-2, 9-1, and you're cruising, right? Like it seems like such an easy, obvious message, but you take a
Bryan, that's a great thing to think about, because every year we hear, it's early, and then you get down to the last 10 games of the year, and here's a team with 8 overtime losses, and 5 of them were in the first month. You're like, you just threw away 5 points. I mean, you can say in October they don't matter, but man, the league's different than it used to be. Those points do matter. And even if you're not a great team and you can jump out fast, you feel good, maybe you can build some momentum. Hey, Calgary did it last year. They got out of the gate really good. And then all of a sudden they felt like they were a good team and they almost made the playoffs. Now they've stumbled coming out of the gate, and it's hard for you to make up ground when things have to be right at the red line for you to make it. And these points are sloppy or not, I think coaches they'll take the points and run away right now.
Absolutely. You get them, you don't have to explain anything. Marty St. Louis last night probably wasn't ecstatic. And then Demidov, man, that Demidov kid, have you seen him live yet, Ray? He looks pretty good, man. Bell Center.
I saw him in the playoffs last year, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's played 5 games. He's not scared of anything. Like, he was taking the puck and like diving into the traffic, and I'm like, man, he's just a kid. Like he's a player, man. Like and remember when he was drafted, nobody was sure was he going to come over, and they Dan Milstein, the agent, had him down in Florida. He has a camp down there every year for his Russian players, and there's the whole whack of head scouts go down to watch the camp because all these prospects are skating in one place, and they all came away and they're like, yeah, that guy's different. He's a player. Like he's a rookie of the year, serious candidate.
Yes,
for sure. I mean, like his ability, and I'm at the Islanders tomorrow. I can't wait to watch Schaefer play. When Scott Arniel says, he skates like Cale Makar, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go watch this guy play. So pretty pumped to watch him. And there's 2 of the guys that'll be up near the top of the Calder race.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy New York, enjoy it tomorrow, and enjoy the Jays against Seattle tonight, Ray. We'll do it again soon. Thank you,
Who
buddy.
do we have on the hill today? Who's on the hill?
You get Shane Bieber, the stash. Bieber's he's gonna be lights out tonight. And Scherzer
Bieber will
going
be good.
tomorrow. Bieber will be
Oh,
good.
yeah, you better
Bieber.
win Game 3.
Yeah, I know. Scherzer scares me tomorrow. But, hey, you got to win one, and then the rest will be history. We'll find out starting tonight.
That's why you're the host of this show. You put things
That's
together
right.
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I point out the
You
obvious.
two guys are really lucky. You two guys are really lucky to be
I
We
make
are.
it sound good
onside.
and look
Yeah.
good. Sound good and look
Yeah.
good. That's all that matters. Fake it to make it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
know
you got
that.
half of it right. You got half of it right. So
That's right. All right, buddy. Good seeing you.
take
Enjoy
care,
it
guys.
tonight.
Good to see you.
care.
Later
There
on.
he is, Ray Ferraro, our ESPN hockey analyst, and of course, one half of the Ray and Dregs podcast. All right, out to Seattle we go. Tim Kirkjian coming up, also of ESPN, ahead of Game 3 tonight. We'll catch up with Tim next. Best bets later in the hour on Jays Mariners Game 3 tonight. Needless to say, it's a pretty big one for the Blue Jays. Pretty big game for the Blue Jays. Shane Bieber on the mound. Santander back in the lineup. He'll hit cleanup tonight, and the Jays fly west, and they've been playing so well. They have been winning a lot of ball games. They had hit everything that in sight, pitched relatively well, and then it all went up in smoke through 2 games
I
down at
already
the
told
Rogers
you,
Center.
Hazy, I have an awful feeling about tonight. Maybe our next guest can talk me out of it. Does he
Okay.
have some kind of good feeling?
Let's get to a glass half full approach here from ESPN. He's at the park now. Here's Tim Kirkjian. Tim, can you spin this positively for people in Toronto? Why should the Blue Jay fans back home be feeling good about their team going into Game 3 tonight?
Did you guys watch the regular season in the major leagues?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
Because if you watched it, you will know, and I know you watched it, that just when you think you understand what's going on, you realize that you don't. Just when you think this team, whatever team it is really good, it loses 6 games in a row. Just when you think that same team is really bad, it wins 8 games in a row. This has been the most unpredictable season that I have ever covered in 45 years. So anyone who thinks this is over, and that's Milwaukee, LA, that's Toronto, Seattle, they didn't watch the 2025 season. Anything is possible in this crazy season. Now, do I like the situation the Mariners are in better? Of course.
Yes.
Of course. But anyone who watched the season would recognize that anything is possible in baseball in 2025. We've seen 1,000 examples of that. That's why you cannot give up on the Blue Jays or the Brewers or anybody else at this point.
Yep.
So you're saying, Tim, that Vladdy can totally flip the switch and be the hitter that he was against the Yankees? That can happen tonight? It will happen tonight?
There are no guarantees. 2025 made sure of that. However, yes, he can flip it, and he can do exactly what he did in the LDS when he was devastating. The only player ever to get 9 hits and 9 RBIs in the first 4 games of any 4 games of a postseason. No one's ever done that. And yet all he's done since then is ground out to the shortstop, the second baseman, and the third baseman. But this is baseball. Anything can happen. He's a great hitter. It could turn. But let's face it, he is the critical piece here, and he's got to get this going. Otherwise, the troubles could continue.
Yep, and everything you say about the 2025 season would apply to the Blue Jays. Maybe first and foremost, 94 wins. They win the East. No one saw that coming, and their backs have been up against the wall at different times, and they have come storming back. Also sweeping the Mariners in Seattle back in May. And that, I'm sure, is something they're trying to, take some confidence from. But O just mentioned Vladdy. Another, big portion of the lineup tonight is Anthony Santander, who's back in the lineup. He pulled himself from Game 2. He's not only back in the lineup, he's hitting cleanup tonight. Barger's moving down. Santander has been a missing piece literally all year based on injury. But he's a veteran that can hit for power, and they need it after the first 2 games. What is your level of confidence that Santander can supply that and be productive tonight for the Jays?
Well, we asked John Schneider before the game, someone asked him, I didn't, who's your pick to click? And he said, I got a really good feeling about Tony. That's what he said. Really good feeling about Tony. So we'll see. He's 6 for 15 with 2 homers, lifetime. against George Kirby. And not many people have good numbers lifetime against George Kirby. And I also think it's important that you just put him right back in the cleanup spot where he hit 44 home runs last year for the Orioles and has hit over 100 homers the last 3 years combined. I'm a believer in that when you tell a guy, I don't just trust you to get in the lineup, I'm going to hit you for it. Plus, physically, he's feeling better. John Schneider told us that yesterday was really helpful, that he had a day off, and he's moving better. He's playing right field. So I have a good feeling about him, too. But, again, let's always remember the ballpark in which we're playing. This is a difficult place in which to hit. And, you know, I can't say, yeah, they're going to win 9-8, and a couple guys are going to hit 2 homers. Not in this ballpark. Not with the pitching they're going to be seeing.
Coming into the season, did you expect George Springer to have this type of season and still be that productive and really that dominant all season long? And he's been great in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, did not see it. You guys know he hit 6th on opening day. 6th, while Andres Jimenez hit 4th on opening day. Just another reminder how this lineup has evolved. But this lineup took off when George Springer was put back in the leadoff spot. And as you know, he worked with Michael Brantley in the offseason, one of his best friends in the world and a former teammate in Houston. They worked in Florida, and he came back. Even though he had a terrible spring training, Springer came back a different hitter. And, you know, he had the highest OPS gain, 285 points from last year to this, of any player in the major leagues. Cal Raleigh had the second highest. It just shows you he was not done. And when a freakish athlete like him figures out what was wrong and then he goes out and makes it work, this is the beauty of baseball. You know, great NBA basketball players, you know, don't get to his age and suddenly start to score 25 points a game after scoring 8 points a game last year. This only happens in baseball, and it only happens with freakish athletes like George Springer.
Well, he will bat leadoff tonight. You mentioned Cal Raleigh, and, of course, he'll bat second for the Mariners. We're chatting with Tim Kirkjian of ESPN. He's in Seattle, Game 3 tonight. And the guy that will face him, at least early in the game, is Shane Bieber. And a big conversation in Toronto has been, you know, John Schneider's approach to the starters and how, you know, quickly he takes them out. Gosman twice, you know, against the Yankees and against the Mariners. You Savage the first time around.